The file is 33 gigabytes. You know what's inside it before you open it. Not because you read it already, because you built the access that pulled it out of a federal server that was supposed to be impossible to reach. The file contains internal case records, active investigations, informant identities, operational details for 3 ongoing counterterrorism operations that people in rooms you'll never enter spent years building. You are not a nation-state. You are not a government agency. You are 28 years old in a rented flat with blackout curtains and 4 monitors and a brain that learned to do this in the dark over 15 years without anyone teaching you. The file sits on your encrypted drive. You have not opened it. You have not sent it anywhere. You have not yet decided what it means that you have it. What you know is this. Somewhere in a federal building right now, an analyst is staring at an access log that shows something that shouldn't be possible. They are not panicking. Analysts don't panic. They are making a phone call. And whoever picks up that phone is going to spend the next 12 months of their career doing one thing: finding you. Here is how you got here, level by level. Level 1. The switch. You are 16. You break into your school's network on a Thursday afternoon because there is a maths test the following morning that you did not prepare for. You don't cheat. You don't change grades. You take the network down for 2 hours using a tool you downloaded from a forum you've been reading for 8 months. The test gets postponed. You sit in class the next morning and watch your teacher try to diagnose an infrastructure problem that 11-year-old IT textbooks didn't prepare him for. Nobody suspects you. Nobody thinks to. But that's not why you did it. You did it because 6 months ago, something happened in your brain that you've been trying to describe to yourself ever since and haven't found the right words for. You were watching a video about how Wi-Fi encryption works. Not a hacking video, a mathematics video, the kind that treats the viewer like someone capable of understanding real things. You watched it 3 times, then you found another, then a forum, then documentation, then you downloaded Kali Linux on a laptop your father was going to throw away, and spent 3 weeks learning what each tool did before you touched any of them. The switch that flipped was not about crime. It was about understanding. The feeling of a system built by humans to do a specific thing, and you understanding it well enough to make it do something else entirely. The asymmetry of it. The world walking past a locked door and you knowing where the key was kept because you understood the door. That feeling was more addictive than anything else available to a 16-year-old in a bedroom at 2 a.m. Alec knew something had shifted before you told him. Your oldest friend, the only person who had ever beaten you at anything that required patience. He came over the week after the school incident and sat at your desk and looked at the screen and asked what he was looking at. You explained it. He listened the way Alec listens, completely, and when you finished, he put exact change on your desk without looking down. A quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel. You'll explain this to me one day, he said. I just did, you said. No, he said. The real explanation. What it's actually for. He left. You didn't have an answer. You were 16. You told yourself it was just curiosity, just a kid who wanted to understand how things worked. Most kids who start here stop here. You are not most kids. Level 2, the first job. You are 20. Someone reaches out on a forum you trust. No name, no context. A private message describing a target, a financial services company, and a number. $40,000, cryptocurrency, untraceable, 1 successful breach. You close the message. You open it 4 days later. You spend those 4 days assembling a list of reasons why you shouldn't do it. The list is detailed and specific and entirely correct. Then you spend 4 hours assembling a different list. The company can afford it. No real people get hurt when data moves between servers. You're providing a technical service. You don't know what the client intends to do with the access. If you don't do it, someone else will. These arguments sound reasonable at 2 a.m. when $40,000 is sitting in front of you. They are designed to sound reasonable at 2 a.m. You take the job. 3 weeks of reconnaissance. Mapping their systems, their employees, their email infrastructure. A phishing email to someone in accounts payable that looks exactly like correspondence from their payroll software. She clicks. You have a foothold. From there, you move laterally, carefully, quietly, leaving traces so small that most security teams would never find them. You reach the access level the client specified. You document it. You hand it over. The cryptocurrency arrives across 3 transactions. You sit with what you've done and try to reconstruct the justifications. They're thinner now. The money is real. The access has been handed to an anonymous person for an unknown purpose. You don't know what happened after the handoff. You never will. The anonymity that protects you also means you never see what you handed someone the ability to do. You tell yourself once. 6 weeks later, you take another job. Alec came over the week after the money cleared. He didn't ask about the new laptop. He didn't ask about the better quality coffee or the reason you'd stopped mentioning the financial stress that had defined every conversation for the previous 2 years. He sat at your kitchen table and talked about nothing specific for an hour. When he left, he put exact change on the counter without looking down. He paused at the door, 3 seconds longer than a person pauses when they have nothing to say. Then he left. You watch the coins sitting on the counter for a long time after. Level 3, the hospital. You are 23. The group finds you through your reputation, not a formal organization, a network. People who communicate through encrypted channels and know each other only by handles and have never met in person and never will. Your work is clean, they said. Your methodology is professional. They want your specific skill set. They run ransomware operations. Your role is initial access. You find the way in. What happens after you hand over the foothold? Deployment, encryption, ransom negotiation, payment processing. That's someone else's operation, someone else's decision. You are the door opener. What goes through the door is not your responsibility. You tell yourself this before you take the first job. You tell yourself this during it. The target is a hospital network. You spend 4 weeks finding the access. A network appliance running outdated firmware. A known vulnerability that the hospital's IT team hadn't patched because hospital IT teams are perpetually underfunded and understaffed, and the software update that would have fixed it required a maintenance window they hadn't scheduled yet. You hand over the access on a Tuesday evening. 3 days later, you find out through the news, not through the group, that the hospital's systems are encrypted, patient records inaccessible, medication management systems offline, scheduling systems down. The ransom demand is significant. The hospital negotiates, they pay. Your cut is predetermined. It arrives in Bitcoin. You buy a better laptop. You move to a nicer apartment. You tell yourself the hospital had insurance. You tell yourself hospitals should patch their systems. You tell yourself a lot of things. Then Alec calls. He doesn't announce why he's calling. He asks how you are. You say fine. He asks again with a different quality of silence behind the question, like he already knows the answer and is giving you the space to decide whether to tell the truth. You don't tell the truth. He goes quiet for a moment. Then you hear it through the phone. Exact change placed on a hard surface. A quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel without looking down. He says one thing. I read about the hospital. Then he hangs up. You don't call back. A week later, a journalist piece runs about the attack. A detailed account of 3 days of disruption. One section describes a patient who came into the emergency department while the systems were down, staff working from paper backups, a delay accessing medication history, a drug interaction that might have been caught faster. The patient died. The journalist is careful. The piece says the connection cannot be confirmed. The hospital says the delay was not the determining factor. The family believes it was. Cannot be confirmed. Might have been caught faster. You read the piece 4 times looking for the sentence that confirms with certainty that the access you handed over had nothing to do with it. You don't find that sentence. What you find is ambiguity. A specific ambiguity with a dead person in the middle of it. You take another job at the end of the week because the action is better than sitting with the thought. The thought is still there. It will always be there. Level 4, the government. You are 26. You have been careful, more careful than most. Different devices for different activities. No personal phone near the work setup. Everything routed through layered anonymization. You change your operational patterns regularly. You don't repeat sector targets. You never use the same intermediaries twice. Careful is not the same as invisible. 2 members of a network you're adjacent to are arrested in Eastern Europe. You find out through an encrypted channel that goes silent for 6 hours and then has a single message. 2 people arrested. Go dark immediately. You go dark in 3 hours. Everything, every account, every forum presence. Drives wiped, devices physically destroyed. Different apartment, cash only. prepaid SIM cards bought from shops with no cameras and used once and discarded. You get a legitimate job. IT support. You fix password resets and printer problems using skills that could bring down infrastructure, and you sit at a desk and you wait. 3 months pass, 6 months. You start to think it might be okay. Then a client you have worked with twice reaches out through a channel you thought was secure. Not law enforcement, something else. A demonstration arrives, a file containing details about you that shouldn't exist. Proof that someone has been watching long enough to know things you believed were invisible. They want access to a government contractor network, a subcontractor to a federal agency, not the agency itself. They're very specific about that. You think about refusing. Then you look at the file again, at the things they know about you. You do the work. The contractor network takes 6 weeks. Their security is better than the hospital, better than the financial services company, but not better than you. You find a misconfigured authentication system in their internal development environment, a test credential that someone forgot to deactivate when the project moved to production. You're inside a network that connects to federal systems. You hand over the access. You don't know exactly what they do with it. You never know exactly what they do with it. But 3 weeks later, a government contractor announces a significant data incident. The breach is attributed to a nation-state, not to you. You read the attribution report. They're not wrong about the techniques. They're wrong about the origin. You find an envelope under your apartment door the next morning. No note, exact change, a quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel. You don't know how he knew where you'd moved. You stand in the doorway for a long time, then you go inside. Level 5, the FBI. You are 28. The job arrives differently from all the others. Not through a forum, not through an encrypted message. Through a person who sits across from you in a coffee shop in a city you chose specifically because you knew no one in it, and says a sentence that rearranges the geography of the next 2 years of your life. We need access to internal federal systems, not data. Access, a foothold, maintained for 60 days. You ask which federal systems. He says the name. You say nothing for a long time. He slides a figure across the table. You say nothing. He says, "We know about the hospital." You sit with that. We know about a lot of things. You take the job, not because of the money, not because of what they know, because you have been building something quietly for 8 months without telling anyone. A file, documentation, evidence of the network you've been working inside, transactions, targets, methods, the infrastructure underneath the operations. Not enough to burn yourself, but enough to matter if the right people saw it. You've been waiting to know what you were going to do with it. Now you know. The FBI system takes 11 weeks. You have never worked on anything this defended. Their perimeter security is exceptional. Their internal monitoring is sophisticated. There are tripwires you find and avoid, and some you only identify because you spent weeks mapping where the monitoring was dense enough that movement would register. But systems are built by humans. Humans make decisions under time pressure and budget constraints. And somewhere in every system built by humans under pressure is the thing that got deprioritized. In this case, it is a legacy authentication pathway that should have been deprecated 18 months ago, and wasn't because the migration to the new system is still 3 months from completion, and the team responsible is already handling 4 other projects simultaneously. You're inside. You maintain the access for 31 days. You don't read the files. You don't copy the operational records or the informant identities or the case documentation that you can see exists in directories you could open if you chose to. You do one thing. You plant a file in a location that will be found during routine maintenance. The file contains documentation of the network you've been working inside for 4 years. Names, handles, transaction records, infrastructure locations, the evidence you've been assembling since the night you put the coins under your apartment door in your own pocket and understood that keeping it was the only decision that still belonged entirely to you. Then you close the connection. You send the same documentation to a journalist with a verifiable record of protecting sources, along with enough technical context that anyone with the right background can corroborate every line. Then you call Alec. He picks up on the second ring, the way he always picks up, like he was already holding the phone. You don't speak for a moment. He says, "I know." You say, "How long?" He says, "Long enough." You ask him what he thinks. He's quiet for a moment. Then you hear it. Exact change placed on a surface. A quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel, without looking down. The way he's always done it. He says, "A man who leaves exact change never owes the world anything." A pause. You owe the world something. "I know," you say. "Is this it?" he asks. You look at the screen. At the access you've just closed. At the file you've just sent. "I don't know," you say. "But it's something." He says, "Come over." "I can't," you say. "I know," he says. "Come over anyway." The journalist story runs 6 weeks later. The network fractures under the scrutiny. Arrests in countries you've never visited. 3 infrastructure providers quietly shut down. You don't get credit. You don't get immunity. You don't get caught. What you get is a bus ticket and a bag with 4 days of clothes and a decision to never open a terminal again that you know you will revisit in 6 months, when the particular quality of silence that comes from not being inside a system starts to feel like a different kind of prison. You are 28 years old. You have no employment history that makes sense on paper, no references that don't require explaining things you can't explain, no pension, no name you can use in a city where people already know what you look like. You have a brain that can see inside systems most people don't know exist, and the particular exhaustion that comes not from doing too much, but from being too much for too long. You find a room in a city where no one knows your name, which at this point is the only kind of city worth living in. You sleep without an alarm for the first time in a decade. It isn't peace exactly, but it's close enough to feel like something worth staying for. On the table beside the bed, exact change. A quarter, 2 dimes, a nickel. You don't know when he left them there. You don't ask. Some things are better carried as gratitude than confirmed as fact.